Hello, everybody. We're here with Natasha Culzac. I don't know if the pronunciation is right.
Yeah.
Perfect. And the actress who plays Riz-028 in the Paramount Plus new series Hallow. And thank you, Natasha, for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It is really a pleasure for us to have you here. And tell us a bit, what's the main element of the character itself and the show in general that drew you to join this project and that fascinates you the most?
Yeah, I think the opportunity to sort of climb into this expansive, very colorful, very interesting world. I think we all would love to be part of something so epic, especially as actors. It's a privilege, I think, to be able to, kind of get involved in something, a project of this magnitude. And in particular, when I got my audition, I was just very interested in Spartans as well. I found their whole journey just super interesting. The fact they were stolen from the age of 6, and they had to go through an augmentation, a very grueling augmentation process, and indoctrination, and kind of exploring like, what does that do to a human being, I guess. And they're, humanity's best weapon against this alien race that's trying to get rid of humanity. So it was just fascinating. I was just intrigued.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the one thing that fascinates me also the most as a part of the audience while watching the series. This whole universe and how it's structured. And I think it's tricky as well for you actors to get into this world with all these the scheme of the characters, how they interact with each other, and the whole regency in it.
Yeah, I mean, we were really lucky with the sets, especially, and everything was created for us. All the sets, everything was very real. We didn't have to pretend much. So the vehicles, the guns, the props and the costumes, everything was designed very, very carefully and specifically. And with our costumes for the Spartans, we have this very heavy, very tight costume, this armor, I think that weighed about 35 kilos. So we had to make sure that we were, physically fit to be able to handle that as well.
And how is it like for you to have this costume to take care of it while also portraying the character? Many actors can actually define costumes or props in general as a challenge for the actor. What was it like for you?
It was definitely a challenge because of the weight of it, and it was very tight, very claustrophobic, especially when the helmet was on as well. They had some fans in the helmet to keep the air.
Oh my God.
But then obviously impressive. When you had dialogue, when you had to speak, they would turn the fans off. So then you would just get very hot and die.
I can imagine that.
Yeah. So that it was challenging, but we got used to it. I think you just do after a while. In the beginning, it was quite terrifying, but sort of as the series progressed and as we continued to do our physical training, we became stronger, I think, and more able to deal with the costume, and we just got used to it, I think. So yeah.
Absolutely. And talking about the approach to the portrayal of this character, how did you first approach the character of Riz, considering on the challenges that we already mentioned, and all the challenges that surround this portraying a character so complex? Also, despite this is a show that many people would define as a male dominant show, the female component is really strong in the overall the series. How was it like to approach his character, and what kind of even researches or studies did you do for the role in particular?
Yeah, that's interesting actually as well, because Spartans were always male and female, so it didn't ever feel like, you know, I wasn't nervous about playing a female soldier, super soldier, because that was always part of the Halo canon anyway. My character hasn't been part of any Halo literature or anything. She's part of the canon, the deep canon, deep lore, but it was quite refreshing, I guess, to be able to develop a character without having lots of backstory that, you know, I kind of had to look back on. I could kind of go with fresh eyes. The main research involved, you know, researching Halo firstly. I read a couple of the graphic novels, played the game, and just went online and, you know, looked at fan videos and, you know, can Spartans reproduce, you know, really crazy questions like that, you know, that some fans have made videos about. So I was watching those kind of things and reading as much as I could. But also there was the physical aspect, like we've mentioned, the physical training, and also learning about military tactics as well. So military formations and gun work. I did a gun course for actors before we started filming and training. I just did it myself with this company. They do specifically sort of firearms training for actors. How to look confident and competent with a gun. So it was lots of different strands of research.
Yeah, I think also that the physical training is fundamental in this kind of projects, considering all the action scenes that you had to play in the show. And talking about the character in a more attitude way, is there anything of Riz that you see in yourself?
Yeah, I think so. So how I had developed Riz is from the script and from a hunch as well of, you know, she's basically like the little sister. Because I'm the shortest Spartan out of the four of us, and I'm also a little sister, so I could kind of see those,
relate to that,
those aspects, you know, this kind of like need to impress, you know, or catch up and be like, no, I can do it too. And I found that quite interesting, you know, that she is a Spartan. She's this very capable, very highly intelligent, you know, war machine, but she still has maybe potentially a complex, you know, a hang up about not being good enough. So I kind of wanted to sort of play on that.
And I think that you really managed that, because many fans wrote us on social medias that they liked your character. So I think you really managed on that side, also on that side of it.
Oh, that's cute. Oh, thanks.
And talking about the challenges of the character in itself, both professionally and personally, what's the main challenge that you felt while portraying Riz?
The main challenge, I think, was portraying this kind of, she's human, but the Spartans, particularly with the pellets, are they're unemotional, very focused. They don't really feel in the same way that humans do.
Yeah.
So that was a big challenge, actually, is trying to portray this person who doesn't really sense or feel a lot, but maybe it's very deep down inside. Yeah, that was definitely a challenge.
I can imagine that you had really to channel the feeling that in your mind to portray such also humanity, but not express it so much on the outside.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And talking about the environment on set while filming the show, how can you describe your experience with the cast and the crew? And is there anyone you grew a stronger friendship with?
Yeah, I mean, the environment was incredible. We were very much a family on set, you know. Pablo was such a great leader as Master Chief, and everyone just kind of came together. The crew as well, unbelievably amazing, so hardworking, and we had some stunt doubles as well. And it must be said that they did an incredible job of being, you know, the stunt team, of being the Spartans, you know, because they had to wear that costume and do all the action as well, you know. So I can't really complain too much, right? Because I wasn't doing, you know, the heavy fighting sequences, but they were, you know, and they are just incredible athletes, really. So yeah, it's so thankful to them. And with the cast, like I consider Kate Kennedy now like one of my best friends. So yeah, it's been really nice to
it's beautiful to see also on social medias your posts with Kate and with the other actors interact and bonding while filming the show. I think both for fans and for all the audience, it's beautiful to see such a good relationship between you actors.
Yeah, and because it's so the whole experience, you know, is very intense. So you want to have friends, really, you know, you want to be able to get along with people and feel like you have a support network. I think it's quite important.
Yeah.
That you're there for each other, and yeah.
I think it is also fundamental for you actors, considering the tough environment in general you're working on. So having friends and people you rely on a set, I think is really important.
Absolutely. And especially, you know, we had a big break because of COVID. So when we came back to shoot the second half, that was even harder because, you know, we had to be very careful around socializing and stuff like that. So yeah.
And we've known for some time now that Hallow has been renewed for season 2. And what can you tease fan about the second season and the journey and Riz journey, if you can tease anything?
I don't know what I'm allowed to say, actually. I think it will just be continuing, you know, exploring these stories that are just fascinating. And actually, well, I can't really say anything because I don't actually know a whole load. So, but it has been greenlit, series 2. So yeah, it's kind of
we can I think that fans can wait to see more of how the show will work out in the future.
Yeah, it's exciting.
And talking about the scenes and the filming of it, is there any scene that you recall from the filming Hallow that it was most fun to shoot, and one that was instead most challenging?
I really enjoyed shooting the battle scene in episode 5.
Yeah.
That was fun. It was very long process of filming that, but we had quite a lot of fun on set. We were on location and we would just sort of sit and watch, you know, the pyrotechnics, all the fire and the explosions, and watch, you know, all the stunt team on wires, and it was really exciting. And we got a lift on a mongoose, Kate and I, so that was quite fun. And yeah, that was really good. And my scene in the control room where I'm kind of delegating to the Marines and stuff, that was really fun, because I don't really get to be that bossy in real life, so that was good. And then a challenging scene was one of the most challenging ones was, I think it's in episode 6, where Riz and Vanek are carrying Kai on a stretcher. She's injured and we're carrying her, and that was just really challenging because I had the costume, which was very heavy, and then we had to carry Kate.
So a double challenge.
A double challenge. So I was basically, it was like twice my own weight of, you know, like double my weight. And that was hard.
And have you had any chance to see the scene after the post-production in the show?
I have seen some of them, as it's been released.
Yeah. And talking about instead a fun question that we always ask the people we're interviewing, and if there's any other character apart from Riz in the Hallow cast, in the Hallow characters, that you would like to portray if you could? Which one would it be?
Ooh, I think I'd like to portray Vincha. He's like very evil.
Yeah.
I think that would be really fun. Yeah.
And another question that we ask to the people we're interviewing is that if you took any prop or any object from set to remember your experience as Riz in this season 1.
Oh yes, I got to take. They might ask for it back now. It's just a copy of my guns, so I might have my 2 pistols.
Yeah.
But they're a copy. They're just kind of like a prototype that they lent me so I could get used to the size and
yes,
feel. And I have them in my bedroom.
That's beautiful. And throwing back instead to your previous experience in acting, you played a beautiful role in a Netflix show, which is The Witcher, and you played, if I remember the name, Torundiel.
Oh yeah,
Teruviel, sorry. And how is it like for you to portray this character? And what can you tell us about your experience on The Witcher?
Yeah, that was another amazing experience. The Witcher cast and crew is also like another family. I think when you join them, they really are very good at bringing you in as well. And that was my first television role, acting. So very nerve-wracking experience, but an incredible experience, working with Henry Cavill and the other guys in my scene as well, like Joey Beatty and Tom Canton. So they were lovely, you know, and we got to socialize as well. You know, we went out in Budapest and had fun.
And also with that role, what's the element that drew you towards this role and that fascinates you the most?
Yeah, in a similar way, it's the world building, and also the allegory, I guess, with the elves. You know, they were subjugated, and I kind of felt, I guess, a kinship with them as well. You know, even though it's an elf, so it's fantasy, and how can you relate to an elf? But it was more their situation in that moment was quite tragic, and yeah, I felt very sorry for them, and was excited by that role. And I think the books are incredible. So I read those in preparation, and yeah, just an incredible production to be part of.
Yes, and also the fact that it's fantasy, but you have to try to relate on this character, try its human way in some way. Absolutely. It is the tricky element of fantasy shows like The Witcher, or even Hallow.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And instead, talking about the origins of your passion for acting, how did your passion for acting come about?
I think at school. I think at school I was studying drama, and I just always loved it. I always loved performing. And I think also just being able to play other characters, being able to feel different things, express different things, is such a great outlet. You know, it's freeing almost, I think, to, especially when you're young. I think when you're a teenager, you know, you're constantly in your head, and it's nice to be able to be something else, or do, you know, feel something else. And I think that's what kind of got me hooked.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you had to give an advice to young people, or even people in general that wants to pursue an acting career or a career in general in the entertainment world, what kind of advice would you give them?
I would say treat the industry the same way that it treats you, which is with a little bit of disdain. Don't give it everything, not everything that you have, because it's a very unforgiving, very brutal industry. So keep something for yourself, you know, make sure you have your relationships, your friendships, you go on holiday, maybe, you know, you have another career as well for money, and just look after yourself.
That's a beautiful answer. And I think people will really look up for this advice. So that's all for us. Thank you so much, Natasha, for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you, and good luck with all your upcoming projects and for Hallow as well.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be part of this and talk to you. So
thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.